legs. It's Happy Hour again from Uptown New Orleans. Hello, I'm Grant Morris. Happy Hour is part of the family of shows on the podcast network. It's neworleans.com. When you walk into a bar in New Orleans and you pull up a bar stool, you never know who's going to be sitting on either side of you. What you do know is no matter what they look like, what they're wearing, whether they just got out of a limousine or just got out of jail, they're going to be happy to talk to you. Because that's New Orleans and this is Happy Hour, a cocktail-fueled 60 minutes of random conversation with folks who have nothing in common. Other than we're all New Orleanians in a bar, today we're at the fabulous Maple Leaf on Oak Street. The Maple Leaf is the longest-running music club in New Orleans. It's been hosting music here for 45 years. Charlie, it's about as long as you've been playing.
Oh, not as long as I've been playing 75 years.
You've been playing for 75 years, so you were playing for 30 years before the Maple Leaf opened.
Yeah.
Can you believe that? This is the legendary Charlie Gabriel who's here from the Preservation Hall. What is the name of the band? The Preservation Hall Band?
Preservation Hall Jazz.
Jazz Band. Okay, we have to add the word jazz. Are you the music director of it?
No, I'm not the music director. I'm just leading some of the songs that they are doing, but I'm not the leader. Ben Jaffe.
Ben Jaffe's the leader of the band.
The leader of the band.
How long's he been playing?
Oh, Ben been playing. I would assume Ben been playing lead. No, 25, 30 years, something like that.
Wow. And how long have you been playing? Did you say
75?
You've been playing for 75 years. So you're the senior. You should be a seniority. Are you paid more if you've been playing for 75 years? Doesn't work that way. It's not like government work.
I started playing in 1943 with the Rico Jazz Band here in New Orleans.
You started playing in 1943?
Well, during the war, because all the other musicians was in the service, and they only had the oldest musician left here in New Orleans to play. So.
And how old were you in 1943?
In 94.
1943, how old were you?
I was 11 years old.
You started playing at 11?
I started playing professionally. I started playing at 7, but when I got to be 11, I was already playing with the Rico Jazz Band because I could read good. And every time they called my father, Manny, we got a job for you. He said, oh, no, I can't take that. But you can take the kids. So all the older musicians would take me, and just like would be my father, and I stay with them. So it would T-Bar.
You were 11 years old, and you could read music well enough to play with a band. Who taught you to read music?
My dad. See,
really?
My whole family came to New Orleans in 1856 from Sanger Dominguez. My grandfather was a bass player, Narcisse Gabriel, and my great-grandfather, my grandfather, was a trumpet player, and my father was a drummer. I had 5 brothers, and everybody in the family played. Even my mother played saxophone.
Your mother was a saxophone player?
Yeah.
Was she any good?
Well, she made money playing saxophone.
So everybody was a professional musician in your whole family? Yeah. Do you have brothers and sisters?
I have 5 brothers and 5 sisters.
Are any of them still with us?
Only one brother with me. He's 90 years old.
He's 90.
He played trombone.
He's still playing?
No, he can't play no more.
So you're still playing at 87?
Yeah, I'm still playing. Okay, so
you think that would be a lot of work playing a saxophone at 87 years old? Is it any different when you were 11?
No, every day is the same day. Cause if you open up your eyes and been blessed by God, so you don't know the difference. If every day feels the same.
If you didn't know how old you were, and you didn't look in the mirror, how old would you think you are?
I didn't know how old
I just said
that's the question to ask. Who are you? You know yourself before you know anyone else.
How old do you feel? If you didn't look in the mirror and you didn't know you were 87, how old would you think you are?
Every day you have a birthday, how old you feel. You doesn't know no different. You just change the number.
Right. That's
the only thing.
I feel about the same as I was when I was 18.
I feel like I was 19 years old.
19, okay.
Yeah,
so you're a year older than me. That's amazing. Isn't that Andrew Duhon is here, of course, my co-host. How are you?
Great. How are you doing?
Good. I'm good, thanks.
Yeah.
Shall I finish mentioning about what's going on at the Maple Leaf Bar?
Yeah, sure. Tell us.
You can hear George Porter here every Monday night. You can hear the Rebirth Brass Band here every Tuesday. And the piano giant John Cleary is playing here at the Maple Leaf every Friday night through Jazz Fest. So pretty impressive lineup, wouldn't you say?
That's great.
Yeah. And so we're excited to be here. And so my other 2 guests sitting over to my right here are, if you'd like to meet them, Charlie.
Yeah, I'd love to meet them.
Denicia. That is so hard to say, but thank God everybody calls you D.
Exactly.
Who came up with this Denicia title?
Well, my mother did.
What's her name?
Her name is Tasha.
Tasha, which
My
is
dad's name
easy.
is Dennis.
Dennis.
You add another
Although
E
they
and
made
an A,
it-
Denicia.
See, there's a certain amount of cruelty involved in that, in my opinion.
No.
Isn't there? Saddling kids with these wacky names that...
You know
Are
what?
hard to
When you get a
pronounce.
wacky name as a kid, you know you will grow up to be an artist.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that
what
right?
else am I going to do?
I don't know.
I got to be creative. Look at
Well,
the name.
you are an artist.
Yes.
You're a cocktail artist.
I am. Liquid art.
Liquid art. So you can make a living making drinks.
Exactly. I could, either make a living making drinks or drink too much. So I decided to figure out a way to use and not abuse and share that with other people.
So you're basically an alcoholic.
Well, we are changing that narrative and
Right.
not an alcoholic, but, there's a way to drink, like your intro. New Orleans is a place where at the bar, strangers can meet. So imagine if we sip and we know what we're sipping and we're well educated, we don't abuse it. We
Right.
mix our social scene with just a little bit of spirit, and we're
But
good.
it sounds like you're saying you're looking for an excuse to drink every day.
Well, I get paid for it now,
Yeah.
so I think I'm doing pretty good.
You are doing pretty
I'm doing
good.
pretty
I would
good.
say, wouldn't you think, if you can drink every day and get paid for it?
If
Or-
you can drink on the job or sip on the job,
Yeah, or just watch other people enjoy beverages. You know?
exactly.
Well, that's true, because you don't have to get high on your own supply.
You never can. That's the number one commandment. You can't do
You're not supposed to be drinking while you're making drinks. Is that right?
that. No, you're not supposed to. You're not supposed to drink too much.
Really?
Yeah,
But
you're not
do-
supposed to drink too much.
Okay. And did you meet T.R. Johnson, who's here as well?
We did meet.
T.R. Johnson is a professor of English literature at Tulane University,
That's correct.
and one of our favorite guests ever to have been on Happy Hour.
Well, I'm so pleased to know
It's so
that.
great to have you back, because you told us one of the greatest stories. Andrew, remember that?
I remember it well.
And I was
Yeah.
looking at the page today on our website, it's neworleans.com, to look back at that show. That was 5 years ago. That was 2015.
Wow.
You should see what we look like then.
Yeah.
Right.
It's scary how much younger we look. I'm not even kidding.
Yeah, I'd rather not.
It's horrible.
Yep.
But do you remember the story you told us?
I do, actually. I can't forget it.
I won't make you relitigate that whole thing, but it was just for anyone who's listening. You can go to our website, it's neworleans.com, and the show was called Tell It to the Hotel,
That's right.
which was based on your experience after you came back from Cuba
That's right.
with terrible, I guess, dysentery.
That would be the word.
Yeah, that's the word for it.
Yeah.
And since then, you've totally redeemed yourself by by writing a very fancy book,
Thank you. Yeah.
which has got incredible reviews, and
Thank
you're
you.
sort of like an intellectual now.
I guess you could say that. Yeah.
So we have to sort of move on from the dysentery.
That's right.
Did you ever hear from the hotel? by
I
the way?
never did. Everything was fine. Everything was fine.
Well, that was how he left it at the end of that show, was that you weren't sure whether you were going to have to pay for the
a
cleaning.
$10,000 bill to
Yeah.
rebuild a hotel room that had been suffered the hurricane force of my
Anus.
stomach. Yeah. I was going to say stomach, but yeah. Sure.
Stomach. Well, it's not your stomach by the time it gets down there.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah.
your stomach at the beginning.
That's right.
Yeah.
And it was definitely not to be. It was the bitter end.
Thank God you're okay. Have you been back to Cuba since then?
I was there about a year ago. Had a
Nice.
great time. I was there for just about 4 days, and just had an absolute ball.
And didn't catch anything at all.
Nothing. It was all fine.
I
Yeah.
can tell us about this book. It's called, what is it called? New Orleans, A Literary History,
That's right.
which sounds sort of pretentious.
It is quite pretentious, but it's kind of worth it. It is based on a course I've been teaching at Tulane for, 15 years. Cambridge University Press approached me and said, "You want to do a book about this?" I said, "Yes, of course I would." And it's essentially a history of all the most significant writing that the city has ever inspired. So all of the various attempts down through the ages to kind of wrangle with the meaning of this place, how the city sort of lives in the imagination of the world through the most significant things that have ever been said about it. It's a history of that.
Okay. Is it interesting to read?
Yes, absolutely.
It is. It
It's-
sounds pretty wordy.
Well, thank you. Wordy or worthy?
Worthy.
Worthy.
Sounds like it's too intellectual for most people, or is it meant for
No.
everybody?
You know, it's most of it's a collection of essays written by other academics, and so there's kind of an academic accent.
that was
in the
what was
thing.
worrying me. It's got the word academic attached.
Well,
you have to say that.
But I pitched it at definitely a kind of general audience. Anybody that is sort of likes to think about New Orleans is going to find a lot to think about through this book.
Charlie, you must have thought about New Orleans for a long time.
Cuba looked just like New Orleans. We went there 4 times.
Yeah.
The Preservation Jazz Band, and from our experience, we did a movie called Tuba to Cuba.
I've heard about it.
See,
yeah.
and it brought it's continuation of the music. Before the music came out of Cuba, you had to first realize it's habanero music. Africanism and Spanish melody had a relationship that created habanero music. That's every
Habanero.
rhythm habanero.
I thought that was a
That's
pepper.
every rhythm that you hear other than foxtrot, waltzes, and marches come from African rhythm and Spanish melody. And that back in the 9th century, that's back in the 9th, African ruled Spain for 600 years. And everywhere that music went, the different countries would accept it, but they're trying to do something to it. Well, Cuba came up with bolero, that Cuban music. Although they changed the rhythm from that is the rhythm of the clave that controls the rhythm. But when it came to New Orleans, we took the habanero rhythm, bop, 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 and we changed it. Oh, when the sing, go marching in. Oh, when the sing, go marching in. But the rhythm is still there.
So what? Can you play something
I can play for you.
like that was the original habanero version?
I can play
What that would
something for you.
sound
I can
like?
do something
Okay.
in Latin.
Yeah.
Do something for you.
And we're all going to have a turn at playing the
Come
saxophone.
from habanero music. It's like this in Brazil, that come for habanero. They do a samba.
Okay.
That come from Brazil.
Now, this is not all from the 9th century that you're talking about, is it?
Everything come from the 9th
Everything
century.
started back in the 9th.
Yeah, the African controls. The African had a natural fight at the Gibraltar Strait, and they conquered Spain. They ruled Spain for 600 years.
Right.
Understand? Because
I
they
do.
had the rhythm that and when they had traveled up through the Caribbean and everywhere they went, the different country created something from the rhythm.
How are these people
into
getting?
jazz.
How are these people getting around? By ships, I'm assuming. But
No.
was it armies
Let's put
or?
it- you know, once you sing a song into the universe, it's all over the world.
Yeah, really.
Just that
Okay.
fast.
Yeah. Okay, so go back to where we were.
Here's the samba.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Beautiful. Yes, indeed.
Do you still like playing?
I still like playing.
Yeah.
You know, I've been playing so long. What could I do if I stopped playing?
Have you ever thought about that?
I have never
Never
worked
crossed
it.
your mind.
I had never did nothing in my life but play this horn since I've been 11 years old.
Wow. You haven't
I've
had
been very blessed.
Yeah.
Very blessed.
Yeah.
for God has given
You
me
haven't had
all
the same
things
one
that I
since you were 11, right?
want. Oh man, no, not this horn.
Right.
But put it this way, I've been holding this horn for about 60 years.
Oh,
60.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I got 3 or 4 other homes, brand
Right.
new one at the house.
Right.
Yeah, but
This
it
is
ain't-
this
it
you-
ain't- the way it look, and it ain't so much important. I'm complacent,
Hmm.
and once you get complacent with something, you do better things with it.
Yeah. Right. Well, you must know this better than you know anything else in life. Are you married?
I've been married once before, 51 years. My wife made a transition. Now I've been married again, now 10 years.
Okay.
Why, sure.
Wow.
God
So do you think you know your wife better or the saxophone better?
Well, you never know a lady.
Exactly. Exactly. Cue my boyfriend. Tell him that.
What's up with your boyfriend, Dee?
Oh, no, nothing.
How long have you guys been together?
It's going, it's been 2 years, going on like about 20, it feels like.
Okay. And how's it, is it working out? 2 years is pretty good.
You know, it's pretty good. I'm originally from Los Angeles and then moved to New York and then came down in New Orleans. And I will say it is nothing like a man from New Orleans or people from New Orleans, period.
What do you mean? The boyfriend's from New Orleans.
Uh-huh.
So there's nothing like that.
Nothing like
What's
it.
the difference of dealing with a guy from New Orleans and dealing with a guy from LA?
For one, important to me, the food.
Okay.
You're going to get a meal that will put you out. And look, I love the food in LA. I love everything about LA. I'm born and raised, but it's something about being in New Orleans. It's everything is about comfort and ease. And it's a bit different than like the LA vibe. Like we're still beach bums sometimes, but it's something about being in New Orleans.
But what's that got to do with a guy? You mean the guys
The
can
guy,
cook?
yeah, he can cook. Most of the men can cook out here.
That's
Have
true.
you- I mean, you've never dated a guy from LA, I'm sure, but
I have
yeah.
not. But most guys can cook here. Is that true? Andrew, do you cook much?
I love to cook.
Ted, do you
He's got
cook?
sausage
cook
in
a
his
bit.
fridge.
It's true. We
I
already
mean,
talk
his
about
freezer,
sausage in the
yeah.
fridge. Yeah, at the
You
bar.
guys have been talking already before we started, and you already got onto sausage in the refrigerator?
Wow.
How did you get onto that in the 5 minutes?
As also a thing about people in New Orleans, they usually put on events, which we were both talking about, putting on events and then ending up with a surplus of whatever it is was at the event, some sponsorship or something like that. I was talking about how much sausage is in my freezer from the Breakfast event.
You still have from breakfast at Jazz Fest
I do.
last year, which
Still
was
good.
almost 12 months ago.
That's
now.
right. It's still good. It's still great.
As long as it's frozen, it's still
Yeah.
good.
How long can you keep stuff in the freezer?
I don't know. It's good so far. I mean, you know.
Charlie knows everything, I bet. How long can you keep stuff in the freezer?
I don't know.
You don't know that. I'm sure you can't keep it forever.
No.
I've
It's
got,
good.
I've got a bunch of red beans in my fridge that's been there about 4 or 5 days, and they're just fine. I'm going to eat them later.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not going to give you food. Well, you ought to know about that, especially.
Yeah, exactly, right.
So, Dee, how'd you meet this guy? Is he also like a
We met.
cocktail drinker?
Yes. We met at the Drifter Hotel, actually. It was one of the
Can't get
last.
more hip than that. What were you doing?
I think it was the wrap party for the film fest. And I've got on this like nice, tight black dress. I got on a head wrap and I'm like, shimmying through the party. And I see this guy and I'm like, ooh, okay. I'm going to wrap back around for that. And so he actually stops me. We get to talking, all that stuff. Later on, he leaves out. And I'm like, damn it, I got to get him. And that's my New York spirit coming out. So I run after him in this dress. And I asked to take him out that morning or whenever I was done. And that's how we met. We went out for breakfast after
this
that.
stuff ever happened to you, T.R., this kind of story?
Not really.
Never had a good-looking woman chase you out of a party?
I'm afraid not. No.
Andrew, you must have had
I've
that
been thrown
happen
out
to
of
you.
parties, but-
You musicians, that happens to musicians, right?
Yes, my wife right now, I was trying to get her to come to New Orleans, So I asked, I said, I'm going to New Orleans. So I started playing with the preservation men, because I was living in Detroit for 63 years.
63.
And after Katrina, they called me and asked me to come back to New Orleans. Ben Jaffe had mentioned to me about playing with the preservation bands. I said, okay. I asked her, I'm going to New Orleans. Well, I'm going to like to take you. She said, oh, no. So I said, okay, I came on down, played a little bit, and went back up to Detroit. I said, I'm going to New Orleans. I asked her again. Oh, no. I had to go back the third time. And I asked her again, and she decided to come to New Orleans. So the conversation went like this. Come with me to New Orleans. I'll show you a great time. All your dreams will come true with me.
Come on.
By your side, so come with me to New Orleans. What a city you will see. All your dreams will come true in New Orleans. That was my conversation.
Wow.
Yes,
wait,
it
wait,
is.
wait.
Ain't nobody doing
Yeah.
that. Ain't no other guy
breaking
singing
the
that
song
nowhere.
anymore.
That's what I'm talking
Why is
about.
anybody breaking in a song like that?
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, that's awesome.
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
That's the kind of guy you've found. Does he sing to you as well, this guy?
Depends what we're doing, yeah.
That is. So you have a beautiful singing voice, by the way.
Thank you.
Did anyone ever tell you that in the last
Yeah, they tell me quite
80
often.
years of
Yeah,
performing?
I
Do you sing with the
do a
band?
couple of- I did a couple of video and commercial
Yeah.
for Amazon,
For Amazon?
Yeah. One of them, I can't remember what it is now. I was a little box, and the little box was singing, that was me.
Okay.
But I can't think of what the song
Did they pay you a ton of money for that?
Now, you shouldn't ask me.
Oh, you're not supposed to say that?
Now, you
I was thinking if you-
I know you know better than that.
Well, the guy.
How old you say you are?
I feel like what did I say, 18 or 19?
I don't know.
I
You're
can't remember.
too old
You're
to answer
20.
that question.
Well, the guy who owns Amazon is the richest guy in the world. That's why I wondered if he was generous.
Now, you're too old to ask a question like that.
Oh, really? Okay. Is that
You
impolite?
forgive if it was a kid asked that, because he don't know what you're saying anyway. But if someone made them other number, you're not
Okay,
for
so what do you think is impolite to talk about money?
that.
What about religion?
Well, religion and everything, you never did want to discuss religion.
You won't want to discuss religion either.
With any,
Are you religious?
Why, sure, I love my God. Why, sure, everything I have
What-
asked my Creator for, He have granted me.
Right.
Everything.
Do you-
And I imagine, I don't think anyone could have been more faithful to receive all the gifts and things that God had put in my front of me. And yeah.
Do you think God's responsible for all this?
Yes, He is responsible for everything that I do.
Okay, what about when things go wrong? Who's
There ain't
responsible?
no such thing again go wrong. You have to live whatever come your way. You have to live through it.
Right.
You can't. If you could change it, then it ain't wrong.
Right. But
Okay,
you
live through it.
but you've had
You gotta live.
you're having a great life
Oh, yeah.
where everything's
Sure.
gone pretty well. But there's lots of people who aren't having a great life.
Yeah, but look, how do you like to be offered a year and a half to live? Is that a great life?
If you have a year and a half to live?
Yeah. He said you can die in a year and a half. You gonna
Yeah.
die in a year and a half.
I could easily.
How would you like to be handed that to you? It was handed to me one time.
Really? You were given a year and a half to live?
That's right.
Well, then, not very accurate, thank God.
No.
What was the
that was
reason for
wrong.
that?
Cancer.
So you've beaten cancer as well.
Yeah.
Come on.
I'm sitting up here, I'm different from every one of you. Every one of you got a bladder. I don't even have a bladder in me.
You don't have a bladder.
No.
How
Then
does
you
that
want to
work?
give me water.
I'm trying to make you drink
Then
something.
you want to give me water. Thank you.
If you don't, do you
Thank you.
still have to drink if you don't have a bladder?
I drink water.
But I mean, do you still need water? Does human body still need
but
water?
You want to give me water. I know
Well,
I need some water now.
Well, what happens to water when you drink water if you don't have a bladder?
And they made a pouch.
Okay, so you've like a
inside of
colostomy.
it. No.
So not that.
They made a pouch from your colon and put it across your urine tract.
Okay.
So you have a pouch. So that make me different from you.
Yeah.
You.
But you still have to go to the bathroom and pee like
That had
everybody.
nothing to do with it.
Nothing to do with it.
Nothing to do with it. So
Okay.
you're going on the other side of the fence. Now, you know better than that.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, we've got back to that again
Yeah.
somehow. TR, I think it's your
It's my
influence.
presence here. Yeah. It
Yeah.
just becomes.
So I like the sentence that you mentioned, TR, when you say that Cambridge University Press just approached you out of the
Yeah.
blue. Like,
Right.
how'd that happen?
You
It's
know-
it's like working for Amazon.
Right.
Or some guy chasing you out of a bar and telling you, or you chasing some guy out of a bar.
Yeah.
These
I
things
chase
just
guys.
don't happen to most people. So Cambridge University Press just called you up and said, we want you to
Yeah, I think they
write the definitive anthology of New Orleans literature.
I guess so. They kind of they were aware that I'd been teaching this course. They had I were doing a series of books about the great literature of these great cities. There's the literature of Chicago and of San Francisco and of New York, and I think they're working on one in Paris. And they wanted to do one on New Orleans, and they I think came by Tulane and said, "Who teaches this stuff?" And that my name came up, and so that's how that got connected. And it was kind of ready to go, sort of already in the can, as it were, because I'd been teaching this class for so long that I had a lot of thoughts about all this stuff. So it came together pretty fast.
So did you the writers who contributed to this book are not all from New Orleans. though.
Correct.
They're all writing about New Orleans.
Right. A lot of them have some connection to New Orleans, either grew up here or have some contact with the place. But by and large, right, it's only a smattering actually live here. The rest of them are, I've got somebody from Australia, somebody living in Germany, California,
And
all
how
over
do
the
these
place.
people know what they're talking about?
They're scholars, they study hard and have read and thought deeply about the histories of race and
So
of issues of the environment.
What did
and
the
so on.
Australian guy write about?
He wrote about Les Sennels. Do you know about Les Sennels? That's a really interesting thing. It is the first African American poetry anthology that ever happened. Happened here, of course, 1840s. A group of black poets published a book of poetry together, and it's an extraordinary book of poetry. And he wrote all about that because it's a poetry that's full of love and sex and all the complicated navigations about race, black and white and the thousand shades in between and what all that means and how they thought about each other and themselves and their relationships.
And which year was this?
1845.
1845. Had you ever heard of that?
No, never.
No,
Charlie, you ever heard of that? Me neither.
that was beautiful, though.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, and the scholar lives in Australia, and he is just
How weird that some Australian guy would be writing about that, teaching us.
all the poetry is in French. It's all French, so he translated all of it and then interpreted it very carefully and then set up this whole sort of theory and history of what this stuff is and what it means and why it's poised for a kind of resurgence. In Paris, people are very interested in les sennels. They call themselves les sennels because that was a type of plant that grew here that was a kind of pale yellow with dark in it, and it's called a hackberry is its other term you may know.
Ah, yeah.
But les sennels is what the French Creoles called the stuff. Hackberries, we call it. And that's what they called their poetry club that yielded this beautiful, beautiful book.
Wow.
Well, what a great story.
So that's the kind of stuff that's
Right?
in
And
here.
small world, because you're doing a course in Black history and spirits, I believe.
Yes, yeah, rum and how it connects to the slave trade, basically the triangular slave trade. Yeah, and also another event, we're recreating the Dark Tower.
What's that?
The Dark Tower in the during the Harlem Renaissance.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Neat.
recreating the space for the Dark Tower, which we will then teach everything about rum and sugarcane and molasses and how rum fueled the slave trade at the time.
Course.
Yeah,
I think, sugar and its relationship to slavery that's a deep, deep connection.
and how it's related directly to New Orleans.
Of course.
even. Yeah,
Of course.
so, yeah.
Fascinating.
How is that related?
Was it Domino or there was a sugar company here in New Orleans?
There is a
Fir-
sugar company here called Domino's right
Well,
now.
yes, it's Domino, but previously, there was a sugar company. I can't think of it now. It may be the mezcal talking, but
Was it anti-Domino?
no, I
That's a joke.
No. Anywho, the class will focus on, and this goes into what we do, or what I do with Cocktails by Pop, is anybody can go and drink, and you can drink a rum and coke, but what are you really drinking? And in order, to get everyone on the same page and to bring everyone together and to sort of teach you how to use and not abuse, I can sort of throw in some facts that you would share with other people. Like some people don't even know that rum came from sugar, which came from molasses, and then
Well, I think
created
most
fermented
people-
rum.
Most
you
people
know?
don't think about what they're drinking, do they?
No, but if you do it in the correct way, they will.
Right.
You keep their attentions just for a second. For example, on Instagram, like the Holy Grail, we create classes every week, really quick classes that'll give you tidbits on what we normally drink. So I know that I don't want to lose my audience.
This
but
is
if
on
I
your
can-
Instagram feed.
Yeah, chicken and champagne.
Yeah, why is your Instagram feed called Chicken and Champagne?
I will tell you. So everyone knows that champagne is something that is exquisite, but so is chicken. And I'm gonna tell you why.
All right.
When you were, let's say, enslaved people, we didn't normally get certain meals. During specific times, whether it be a holiday or something we were celebrating, fried chicken or chicken was something that was considered exquisite. That's the ultimate meal. You pair those two things together, just like champagne. Before they could actually figure out how to bottle champagne without the bottle bursting from the carbonation, it was exquisite. You never knew if that bottle was going to last once you picked it up. Same
okay.
thing with chicken. So it's chicken and champagne, and they go good together.
Chicken was a rarity for a long time, though, wasn't it? Up until like after the Second World War. When you grew up, Charlie, did you eat chicken?
Why, sure, only on Sundays.
Yeah.
See, that's what I'm
It
talking
was
about.
like a special. Because where did this saying "a chicken in every pot" come from? It was like some slogan from some.
We raised chicken early when I was up as a kid here in New Orleans. We'd go and get them little domino chicken. We get my mother buy 10 of them, and we raised them in the yard.
Right.
So that you feed them, and every day throw a little corn out there. Then you get a pet. Well, that mine, and my brother have theirs, that mine. So when Sunday come, mother say, go out in the yard and get one of them chicken. Oh, don't take mine.
No.
Don't take mine. And when they take, and I'm the one that ran their head off.
Wow. You were the chicken killer?
Yeah, well.
How did you get that
I
job?
ran it with my head because I used to make my brothers and sisters mad because they didn't want to do it. So I do it. I kill them all,
Wow.
So the day I take their pet, they don't eat that day.
Uh-huh.
That day.
Oh, my goodness.
Whoa. Would you do it today? Would you kill a chicken today still?
Well, I don't want to kill nothing.
No.
I wouldn't kill anything today. I see
Yeah.
little insects on the ground. I let them live.
Right.
They
Well, we
still
don't have to
life.
kill the chicken today.
No.
Somebody to the floor.
What do you think about that, though? What do you think of how hypocritical that is? Because I think the same thing. I wouldn't kill a chicken, but I don't mind eating it. But some people say, if you're not prepared to kill it yourself, you shouldn't eat it either. Do you subscribe to that theory?
No, very little chicken I do eat now.
Right.
So I don't think I can wait in on that.
Right. What do you think about that, Dee? Then as a
Under
Person who
certain
thinks of-
circumstances,
would you kill a chicken?
I'll do what
Yourself?
I'll do what I have to do under certain circumstances.
If it's trying to kill you, you'll kill it, right?
Yeah, if anything's trying to kill me, I'll kill it. And that is, once again, that survivor instinct. I'm going to do what I have to do.
Okay. Hey, listen, we're going to come back and talk about some more of this in just a minute. First, right after we come back, we're going to take a quick break, and then Andrew Duhon's going to play us something. What are you going to play us today?
I'll play you a new song.
A brand new song?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll be right back with a brand new song by Andrew Duhon right after this. And we're back on Happy Hour with Charlie Gabriel, Andrew Duhon, Denicia Taylor.
Yes.
Otherwise known as D. And thank God, TR, you only just have 2 letters.
2 initials, that's right.
What are they stand for?
TR, it stands for Thomas Richard.
Thomas Richard Johnson.
Thomas was my mother's maiden name, and Richard was my father's name, and so it was a joint venture, Thomas Richard.
That sounds like a black guy's name, Thomas.
A lot of people think I'm black.
Other people think you're black?
Yeah.
And they don't know you?
That's right. Which is cool with me.
Yeah, that's pretty
Yeah.
interesting.
I love how you looked over at me.
Well, I think you nudged me. Yeah.
Are
so-
you single or are you married, or what's your situation?
Well, in kind of a long distance thing.
Long distance with
Yeah.
somebody else, another human.
Another human being.
Okay.
That's
Not a
right.
chicken.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Very, very lovely person.
Okay. Are you in love with this person?
Oh, yeah, those are strong words. She lives in Connecticut, and
Well, then obviously no, because how could you be in love with
that's
someone who
right.
lives in
Yeah,
Connecticut?
we would be
What, what's that got to do with being in love with someone?
Well, I don't know. Yeah.
That's a pretty weird answer to a question. Are you in love with someone? She lives in Connecticut.
Well, how can you be in love with someone who lives in Connecticut? It would be
I
it'd be an absolute torment, and you would just languish in utter agony.
Do you need Charlie to sing her a song for you? To
That
try and
might-
get
yeah.
her to come down
That
here?
might
That's
save
right.
you right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're going to play one for us.
I sure will.
Okay, Andrew's playing us his brand new song. Okay.
I would even call this a love song,
All right.
which may serve.
All right.
In fact, it's a love song in E, which you might be able to find a saxophone solo somewhere in there.
How about that?
So this is I think this one's inspired by the fact that I would consider myself a morning person. I haven't played this one for the band yet, but I'm sure they'll hate it because they wake up about 3 or 4 hours after I do. But it goes like this. Would you rise with me before the sunrise? Even if we had no place to be, just to walk the city street while the city sleeps. Would you rise with me? Would you rise? I know it's hard to break the pillow's gravity,
just one time, take my hand, pull away with me. To be risen with no reason to be. Would you rise with me before the sunrise? Father Time would be surprised to see us then. No plane to catch, no jailhouse phone call from a friend. Everything soon belongs to yesterday. But just one moment could we steal it away? Oh, could you rise with me before the sunrise? Even if we had no place to be, to walk those city streets while the city sleeps. Would you rise with me before the sunrise?
I hate to even come back after that.
Well, I tell you, I got something to say. I've been keeping a secret from you, Charlie. When I was a young man, I went to the Pres Hall to see a show, and the whole gang was there, but I was mesmerized by you the whole time. So, a little starstruck, honestly. I really appreciate what you do.
Oh, man, I enjoyed it.
Thanks, buddy.
Beautiful melody.
Thank you.
Yeah, I still can hear the changes in my head.
That's it. That's it. We'll do it again.
What do you think of that song, Charlie? That is a beautiful melody, isn't it?
I like it because it's very simple, and it becomes complex later on. But it have a simple melody, like I told I have it already in my head, and it's simple. There ain't nothing too hard to remember about it. No, ain't opening up. But anyway,
That's it.
It's simple.
Yeah.
And that will make it so beautiful.
You've worked with a lot of famous people and a lot of big bands and
Oh, yeah.
over the years.
Oh, yeah.
Can you tell what a good song is when the first time you hear it like that? Can
What,
you?
by me, I was at Hampton back in 1948. I was in Hampton back in 1948. I stayed with J.C. Hood, big band, for 9 years, and then I stayed with Rita Franklin, band for a long period of time.
So you travel with Aretha Franklin.
Oh, wow. And by being with J.C. Hood, I had an opportunity to play behind Ella Fitzgerald. So now I play behind Nancy Wilson, all your top stars and things out of Motown thing. Many of them I played behind.
That's amazing.
So life is just beautiful
Yeah.
for me, and I thank God for all of it.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
So what happens when you hear a song? You've heard thousands and thousands of songs. So when you hear a song like Andrew's song, can you tell immediately that it's got something going on there?
Why, sure.
Or that it's terrible?
See, music is mathematics,
Is
just
it?
like everything else.
Right.
The first chord It can be a 1 chord, it can be a 2-5-1, it can be a 6-1-2-5. All that is mathematics. You know what I mean? So when you be hearing basically a lot of songs are built upon the same change, the melodic line change, but the chord progression still be in the same spot.
What does this mean, this 1-6-2-5 thing, or whatever that was?
That's like, I love you.
Thank you.
For sentimental reason. 1-6-2-5. The 1 chord would be C, next chord would be 6 would be the A minor, then the next chord would be D minor, and the 5 would be the G.
Mm-hmm. Does that make sense to you? Yeah. So every note has a number.
Well,
attached
so it's
to
like
it.
an interval thing. So what I just played was a 1-4-5, which is the blues, or for me, it's country music a lot of times. It's it's just a folk song. But to say 1-4-5 is to give you the interval, the space between the notes, which sounds great to us all. But you can move that 1, it's the root, to be a G, or just that, and then it was an E. But it'll sound the same, just in a different key if it's still 1-4-5. That's just the interval, and you make that 1 whatever you want. If it's a G, the 4 is the C, and the 5 is the D. It's just the space between that will be the interval that we all hear. That sounds great to us.
Because you only have 7 notes.
There's only 7 notes total.
7 notes.
Right.
You have 7 notes, you have to utilize it to get the best sound that you want. Just like he's saying. It's mathematics.
So y'all are speaking the same language.
Yeah.
Well, Charlie knows a lot more about that language than I do.
Is there a mathematical language of booze?
With booze, yes, and distilling. With cocktails, like cooking. Do you know a good chef that measures every time? It's a pinch here. It's a swig here. Like, that's sort of what it is.
Are you creating drinks? Are you coming up with your own?
Oh, definitely.
So
all
that's
the
what you do.
cocktails, the simple syrups,
Oh.
everything. We create everything.
So
it's
you-
the same sort of mathematics, yeah.
So you're not just making a cosmopolitan or a grasshopper or something. You're actually creating new drinks.
I learned on the other side of the bar. I can remember going to certain cocktail bars and dive bars and holes in the wall and sort of learning from the patron side and seeing certain things. And, for example, like, what you like to eat.
Chicken.
What tastes good. We know that. And same thing with, like, chicken. Same thing with cocktails. I just sort of learned.
Well, what
and
do you
just
like
go
to drink?
with the flow.
What do you like to drink?
My all-time favorite is a daiquiri.
A daiquiri.
All-time
Like
favorite.
old school or frozen?
Old school.
Old school,
But,
yeah. I figured.
Frozen
I
is-
figured that's what you meant.
No. Don't freeze nothing. You do, for me, aged rum, lime juice, and a little bit of simple syrup. And for what we do a plantain simple syrup.
Plantain simple
Nice.
syrup. Wow, that sounds good.
But nice simple drinks. You don't have to reinvent the wheel for things to be good. It's all about who's serving it. You get it in a timely manner, and it's good.
So
That's it.
you lived in Los Angeles and New
Born and
York,
raised in LA.
in New York, and you lived in Atlanta, and then you finally discovered where everybody's an alcoholic is down here. Isn't that true though? Aren't there more drinkers here? Don't we drink more than anywhere?
They're skillful here. I would
Skillful
say that
drinkers.
the more skillful drinkers here. I think you drink here to have a good time. I think in other cities, you may drink to escape, but I think here is a part of it's a way of life almost.
Alcohol is so enmeshed in the way of New Orleans living.
It's everything we do.
Right.
Everything.
So how did you discover it? Did you stumble your way here, or were you always planning on?
I remember it was an ex-boyfriend at the time. I'm laying on his couch in Brooklyn, and I'm searching through flights, and I see a flight to New Orleans for like $40-something. I'm like, let's go to New Orleans. I've never been, but my grandfather's from Shreveport. And so I'm interested in coming. I buy the flight. I, send to friends and say, if you want to come, hey, the flight is really, really cheap. I get down here. I kid you not, within 5 days after coming back to New York, I moved here in 2 months.
Wow.
It was enough.
What was it that got you?
It was, I want to say it was, I felt at ease. I felt home. I felt accepted. I felt like as an artist, I could actually live. I felt my craft would be respected here. And New York at the time, for all the things I love about New York, if you can get away from that for a moment, I think it's good as an artist. But I I just loved it. Besides the food, the drinks, everything, I'm saying, oh, I'm coming back.
So Charlie, you were born here.
Yeah.
What year were you born?
1932,
32. And what year did you leave?
1948.
So you were, what's that, 16?
18.
18.
16.
16.
Yeah.
Something like that. So what made you leave? You left for work.
No, what made me move, my oldest sibling, my older brother and sister, they were young people. They was in their late 20s, I would say, something like that, 25. And they was married, they had kids, and they didn't go to war. So they would get a better place for my mother to live, getting away from segregation. So they was on their way to California.
Right.
So by them being young adult, they decided they'd take the long way around instead of going to California. They go through Chicago and through Detroit. When they got to Detroit, the car broke down. Yeah. So they had to get the car fixed, and the war was going on during that time. So Detroit, all the factories were making automobiles, were making parts for the war. Making tanks and things for the war. And you can have 2 or 3 jobs. You work one job in the morning to 3 o'clock. You go in the afternoon job and work that from about 4 to 11. So they stayed in Detroit working at the factory, and they brought my mother home. And then my mother said, we're going to Detroit. So
Are you with them at this point, or are you still here?
no, I'm still in New Orleans.
Right.
My dad told him, okay, you guys can go to Detroit, but you cannot take Charles because I'm teaching him. So he kept me here, understand? And all my siblings went to Detroit, and they all got married. They grew up. I went to Detroit in
But
1948.
you and your dad stayed in New Orleans.
Yeah,
And your mom and your brothers and sisters
yeah,
all moved.
they migrated to Detroit.
And how
Really?
long were they separated for? How long were you
It was
apart?
about 4 years before I went to Detroit.
Right.
But Dad said I couldn't go, you know.
Right.
He said, you stay because Charles is teaching Charles.
Wow. That's
And
amazing.
they were
So you stayed
teaching-
behind for the music.
Yeah,
But
I had to
they-
stay. He was my teacher.
Right.
He taught my cousin Clarence Ford. He was a great saxophonist. He worked with Fat Domino for 27 years.
Wow.
You know.
But you
And
said that
wonderful-
they left because of segregation.
Who?
Your family left. Your mom and
Why,
siblings
sure.
left because of segregation.
You would too.
Yes. But that's what I was going to ask you. What was it like staying behind here then?
The thing behind, but it was good with me with my father. He was teaching me. And,
Yeah,
you
but
know,
what was it like living under segregation? It can't have been any more
well, I
enjoyable
cannot
for you.
explain it to you unless you go through it.
Yeah.
If you go through it, then you understand it.
Yeah.
I can say what it is, but it wouldn't mean nothing.
Right.
You have to go through it to
Right.
understand it. And the people, they haven't been through it, so they don't really understand. They
Right.
think they understand it, but they really don't understand it.
Right.
Man, it's so much to it that it's trying to explain something of that nature. I don't think you can really see through and accept what it was.
So
You know?
when you got out of
I'll
here,
give you one idea.
yeah.
I'll give you one idea. I used to shine shoes here in New Orleans at 5 years old, 6 years old. A nickel shine, me and my brother. We shine in the shoe. White guy come there, boom, kicking your butt. Said, you can't shine here, but let the white boy shine there.
And
That pain hurt at 87 years old.
Right. Yeah. So
You think of it.
you don't get over stuff
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
It's
Right.
hard. But I'm glad I lived through it.
Does that, when you left, was there a sense of relief of
No,
not living here anymore?
Wasn't no release. It just that it was happening all over the world. But
So
you can
even-
you can see it better in New Orleans. At least you got a sign that's saying that you can be in New York City and you be in New York and in Las Vegas something. You play music, you have nowhere to sit. They put you in the bathroom.
Right.
You know,
But when you got to Detroit,
talk about that no more.
okay, all right, I can understand that.
Mm-hmm.
So, but you stayed away for 60 years before Ben Jaffe called you and said, "Come home."
60
years.
Katrina had
Yeah.
me to come back.
Right.
When I'm sitting in Detroit and looking at my city going underneath the water,
Yeah.
I was crying like a baby.
Wow.
I was going to come back anyway to live in North for the rest of my life. This would that, but that made me come back sooner.
Right.
And so happened that they and to come help to build the city back up. So everybody had left.
Right.
So I just fell right into what I want to do, and I did it.
Wow. When you came back, you've been back in between though? Surely you've been playing here once in a while.
Oh, I've been coming back to New Orleans
Yeah.
ever since I left. I had really left. My body left New Orleans, but me, I never left New Orleans.
Right.
In the 80s, I was here playing at Storyville with Teddy Riley. That's in the 80s. My dad would bring me back almost every year to New Orleans.
Right.
He wanted to be doing just what I am doing.
Right.
And I'm very happy. He taught me and gave me what I have to do what I'm doing.
Oh, great story. Do you play outside of Preservation Hall anywhere?
No, I've tried not to take any other job.
Right.
I've been offered another job, but
Apart from Amazon, which
yeah. But
doesn't pay
I
well.
do the Jazz Fest coming up. I did it last year, and I'll be doing the Jazz Fest again this year. May the 1st, I'll have a small ensemble out to the jazz.
So,
out to the Jazz
so
Fest.
you know who's coming to Jazz Fest, or at least we know you're coming to Jazz Fest.
Oh yeah, I know.
When are they releasing the schedule?
I think it was today.
It's today. Really?
Mm, right on time.
It's a pretty big day today.
That's right.
You released the information.
They're
today?
impeaching the President of the United States today. They're releasing the Jazz Fest schedule today. What else is going on?
And we're hanging out here.
We're at the Maple Leaf.
That's right.
It's one of those days. So when are you playing? What time?
May the 1st.
May the 1st. May Day.
Yeah, May the 1st, I'll be out there with an ensemble.
So your own band,
Yeah.
hand-picked Charlie Gabriel band.
Oh, same as I did last year.
Okay.
I was out there last year.
Do you audition guys, or you just call them up and tell them they're playing with you?
No, I use different musicians at the hall.
Right.
And some of at the hall that I use performing down there. When I do a thing like this, I try to use a certain individual to help me to produce the type of material that I want to produce to the city of New Orleans. See, and I find it's easier to handpick the different individuals. Not that the other guy couldn't do it,
Right.
but you try to get the best out of each individual.
You know what you're looking for, and you can put it
That's
together.
right.
Andrew, are you playing Jazz Fest this year?
Yes.
What date?
First Sunday. I think it's the 26th.
All right.
Something like that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I guess we don't have an NDA here. What time of the day are you on?
I don't think they give us
Oh,
times
they don't have
yet.
times? You just
No.
have a date?
Yeah.
Ah, okay. Well, who's coming? Who are the big... Do we know anything about it?
No. I haven't seen an announcement. In fact, I think it might be tomorrow.
It's tomorrow, Ciroc. Okay.
I
No, we
thought I
don't.
heard that the big headliner thing is The Who.
Okay.
That's what I heard.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm spreading misinformation, but
No,
whatever.
strongly
The Who.
heard that
It's
it's
The
pretty
Who.
much
Yeah, The Who.
100%.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, so there's that.
Does
Yeah.
anybody care about that? Is that
No,
like a...
not
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
No.
That doesn't do anything for me at all. Charlie,
Okay.
you care about seeing The Who?
Good answer.
It says it all. I can't see that being a big draw.
No, that's not going to be.
Who was in The Who? I can't even remember.
Cares?
Does anybody
Hey,
know?
hey, I like what you did there.
C-Rock, who's in The Who?
Roger Daltrey.
Roger
Daltrey,
Daltrey.
yeah.
Peter Townsend.
Peter Townsend, yeah.
Okay, so superstars at one point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's more like a sort of a casino band
Exactly. That's cold, but it's true.
these days, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd say.
So, Tia, what do you do now? You've published this book. Is that the highlight of your whole life, or you've
Not quite.
you've
actually.
written a,
But you know, I have a
definitive anthology?
Yeah, I've got.
No,
There's
I
a big
can't say
event
that.
coming a week from Saturday. It's January 25th at Tulane. There's going to be a symposium all day. About 2/3 of the people who wrote essays for the book are going to come together and discuss the implications and interconnections and debate and pull back and forth about all these different subjects in its history. It'll be 4 panels over the course of the day. Totally free and open to the public. Don't need to register. Just come to the LBC, is the building in the center campus, the Stibbs room in the LBC, and we're going to go from 9 o'clock in the morning till 6 o'clock in the evening. Maurice Ruffin is going to do the keynote address. There'll be reception with good drinks, and Aurora Nealand.
Cocktails.
Absolutely.
Aurora Nealand is playing.
Aurora Nealand and Tom McDermott are going to play the reception, and we've
Wow.
got a great group at the lunch break, and it's Saturday the 25th, 9 in the morning till 6 in the evening.
Okay, hang on. Let's just get this straight. Saturday, the 25th of January.
That's correct.
2020.
That's
if you're
correct.
listening to this at some other point in time. Okay, and so if we can't make it to that, if you're listening to this and it's after 2020, January 25th,
Yeah.
where do we find out more about you?
You know, Melba's Po' Boys down there at the corner of Elysian Fields
I wasn't
and
expecting
Claiborne
that, actually.
is
Yes,
giving
okay.
away 100 copies of the book.
Nice.
If you have to buy a Po' Boy or a daiquiri.
Deal.
And
We
then
can
you
do that.
and you get a free copy of the book.
I
And
know
it's so there's 100 of them, and it's Friday, March 6th from noon to 2 p.m.
Check this out.
100 copies for free, and I'm going to be signing them, and you can get a hug or a high five or handshake as your pleasure, and I'll sign your book.
I'm going to be there.
All right.
Nice.
Say that one again. Friday
Friday, March 6th,
at Melba's Poor Boys.
corner of Elysian Fields and Claiborne, from noon to 2 p.m. 100 copies of New Orleans: A Literary History, edited by yours truly, T.R. Johnson. There'll be 100 of them, and you buy a po' boy or a daiquiri, and you get a copy of the book and a handshake or a hug or a high five from me, plus
Okay.
a signature.
Or all of
That's
them.
a great
like that.
promotion.
I like that.
Yeah, that is a great promotion.
Thanks.
So Scott Wolf, who owns Melba's Poor Boys,
Yeah.
who has been a guest on Happy Hour too, he bought 100 of these
That's
books
right.
off you.
That's
That
right.
guy is a cool guy. Isn't
Yeah,
he?
for sure. His wife is really taking the lead with this Jane Wolfe, and so she has really got this big sort of literary and literacy initiative going down there. She had Hillary Clinton down there a couple of months ago, Colson Whitehead, Sarah Broom, who just won the National Book Award, a native New Orleanian. Lots of
And now they finally got a good headliner in T.R. Johnson. After all those warm-up people. How they get Hillary Clinton to come down to Melba's Poor Boys?
That's right. As I'm following in her footsteps, and very pleased to do that.
How did they get her to come down there, though?
They said, we got po' boys, we got
Po' boys is what
daiquiris,
they're-
come
Yeah.
on, you know. And she had a new book out, and she wanted to give it to the community, and Hillary said, I'm totally down with that, let's do it. So
It
she
makes
came and did
sense.
it.
It makes sense.
That is good. But you have a kind of social conscience thing going on with your stuff
Definitely.
as well, do you?
Mhm, definitely.
You're concerned about the place of alcohol in the world.
Yes, that's why most of our cocktails, we want to make sure people are aware of the cultural influence. Like, for example, Black History is coming up. So we've teamed up with NOCI, the New Orleans Culinary Institute, to do a class that sort of highlights African Americans in distilling, the history of rum, and now where we are present day in the pop culture with
And
cocktails.
is this open to the public as well?
It sure is.
Okay, so how do we get to go to that?
NOCI, all the tickets are available.
Nochi is spelled
Noki.com.
N-O-C-H-I.
Mm-hmm.
It's the New
Noki.com.
Orleans Culinary and Hospitality
Exactly.
Institute on Howard Avenue.
Yes, and
Nearly
if
circle.
you'll see it everywhere. But if you go to my Instagram too, I'm constantly posting everything about the
Which
class.
is chicken and champagne.
Exactly. I didn't even have to prompt
Okay.
you. Yeah.
Chicken and champagne. So if you go to Chicken and Champagne on Instagram, you can find out how to get involved with this Black History Month.
Exactly. But we've got
Cocktails.
a really cool project coming up.
That is very hard to remember that. Okay, yes.
A really, really cool project.
What
and
is
it's
it?
called Sweat It Out.
Sweat it up.
Sweat It Out. It is a private location, February 8th, from 9 until, and we are partying on roller skates. Now, if you think about it and tell me, is there a roller rink in New Orleans?
There must be.
Not
No,
that I can think.
in New Orleans.
gotta
There
be-
will be February 8th, and
All
we're going
right.
to sweat it out.
I like that.
But it's
It'll
a
be-
secret location.
It's a secret
Andrew did a whole
location.
thing with a secret location in City Park one time.
I
with
did.
a record
yeah.
release.
Yeah, but it didn't have a skating rink, unfortunately.
But it's a pretty cool idea. It was very, very well attended.
It was great.
So this is secret location thing is a pretty good idea.
It's catching on.
And how do we find out how to get our roller skates on? Because Charlie and I would like to go to that because we're both only 18 and 19.
You guys can be, well, we need you there, especially Charlie.
Yeah.
It'll be a special release, but Chicken and Champagne, it will be, and you'll see
so you have to be an Instagrammer.
No,
to
you
find out
don't. You'll
about
see
this.
it everywhere, I promise.
You will, okay.
You'll, without it, everywhere you go, if you shop at Rouse's, if you shop at Winn-Dixie, you will see the special Sweat It Out.
Okay.
But that day, you're going to sweat
Talking
it
of
out.
sweat it out, we have to get the hell out of here now. Have to make way for the actual band who's coming in here on the stage. Charlie, what are you up to? Aren't you getting some sort of Lifetime Achievement Award or some fancy thing?
Yeah, tomorrow I'm going to receive
Tomorrow.
from the
Offbeat, yeah?
the Offer B, receive award, a Lifetime Achievement Award.
Nice.
At the Mint, you know, it starts at 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock at the Mint. So tomorrow would be Thursday, the 16th of January, 2020. So there's a chance that somebody might hear that and get down there. And if they don't, how do we find you? Do you have like a website online or anything, or what's the best way to find stuff about you?
You got a lot of stuff online. I got a nephew in Detroit that put a lot of stuff online. But as far as me fooling
You're not messing around with that.
Facebook and all that,
Screw that.
I don't.
All right.
But
All right.
they
I
got
hear you.
all kind of stuff on there.
All right. So we just have to search for your name, Charlie Gabriel, and that'll
this,
find us there.
I don't
Hey, we have to say thank you to Basics on Magazine Street near Jefferson Avenue. Basics underneath sells fine lingerie, and Basics Swim and Gym has a full range of fashion swimsuits, workout, and yoga clothes with style. And thank you, too, to the Positive Vibrations Foundation, who create and encourage community through the development of and the preservation of arts, music, culture, and heritage. And if you'd like to become a member of our Patreon family, go to patreon.com and search for It's New Orleans Happy Hour. And for as little as $1 solitary, you can become a member of our Happy Hour family and receive exclusive stuff that C-Rock and Asher Griffith will send you from time to time, about once every 5 years, probably. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. This has been a really stellar episode of... Do you want to play us out, Charlie?
Oh,
Yeah, Andrew, you guys want to play us out? Hey, what about...
I think
What
Charles
about
should take it away.
16542? Come on. Okay. The producer of our show is Graham DePonte. Our music producer is Monique Pyle. Christian Owner is our music consultant. Our technical director is Thomas Walsh. And today's show is engineered by Eric Norrell. Asher Griffith is our Facebook live feed director. And our fact checker and social media connector is Andrew C-Rock. If you'd like to be on our show and you can stay upright for about 60 minutes while drinking alcohol at the Maple Leaf, drop us a line. Our address is on our website, itsneworleans.com. You can also check out many other hours of Happy Hour that we recorded previous to this show on our website, itsneworleans.com, as well as some other shows we make around here, including Out to Lunch with Peter Schutte, live from Commander's Palace, Louisiana, Eats with Poppy Tucker, and our award-winning podcast about death, called Death the Podcast. You can also find other great Louisiana podcasts at itsacadiana.com and itsbatonrouge.la. You can keep up with us on a bunch of time-sucking social media like Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, and you can find all those links on our website, itsneworleans.com. You can find photos from this show on itsneworleans.com and on our It's New Orleans Happy Hour Facebook page and on Instagram as well. Those photos were taken today by Jill LaFleur. You can find more of Jill's photos at lafleurphoto.com. If you're listening to this on your favorite podcast app, thank you for subscribing to us. If your podcast app has a share option, try telling a couple of your friends about Happy Hour. The show is recorded live today at the Maple Leaf Bar on Oak Street in Uptown New Orleans. Happy Hour is a production of INO Broadcasting for itsneworleans.com. For Andrew Duhon and everyone else around the table here at the Maple Leaf and back at our office at INO Broadcasting, thank you so much for joining us. I'm Grant Morris. I'll see you back here next week for more Happy Hour. The great Charlie Gabriel. See you next week, everybody.